we think about discrimination and prejudice, prejudice is about how we think about someone, and discrimination is our behavior. So when we look at what's discriminatory behavior against older adults, we're seeing it at lots of levels. Elder abuse is a really hot topic, and there's a lot of awareness growing that there is abuse of older adults that's pretty rampant. And it can run from, we think of physical abuse, which sometimes occurs, especially in a caregiver situation. Financial abuse is really key. And a lot of it happens in families. And not just, we think it's sometimes just nursing home based. But discrimination is a level before that even that we see happening. So discriminatory behavior that I see is pretty common. How we think about older adults, just walk through your neighborhood and watch how people walk around older people. They may ignore them. And this is what, in survey after survey, older adults say, you get to a certain age and it's like you're invisible. That's discrimination. When we stop seeing people as being people and we stop looking them in the eye and we stop treating them with respect, that's discrimination. In healthcare settings, it happens all the time. Again, talking to people in very paternalistic ways, ignoring them, not hearing their viewpoints, not recognizing that they have a right to state what they want for their lives and their healthcare treatment, all discriminatory behavior.
I think Western society and North American culture, anti-aging is actually growing. I think if you look to the media, you can see very quickly that aging is the worst thing that could possibly happen to you, is the message that you're bombarded with constantly. That looking and acting old is incredibly problematic. And we're absorbing these things in ways that we're not even conscious of. And having worked a lot internationally, aging, not all, but in many societies in other parts of the world, is highly valued. And in fact, a person is very respected rather than isolated. And their opinions are sought out. Because they are older and they, are considered in many cases to have more wisdom. And I think we're losing that in our society. I think there's something very, dehumanizing about this language of aging. And, if you look at a term like, the gray tsunami, the kind of language we use, tsunamis are very destructive forces. This isn't, these metaphors can be incredibly negative without us even realizing how much we're putting out there and how negatively we're teaching society and even other healthcare workers about this.
So I think we live in a very ageist society, and we can see that with, for example, all of the anti-aging creams and techniques that we see out there. And of course, we're trying to age well, which is fine and good, but intrinsically in anything that's anti-aging is the idea that we don't want to get older. And the fact is, we're all getting older. We're all going to get. If we're so lucky, we're all going to become older adults ourselves. And I think we're terrified of that because we tend to hide older adults away. Outside of the world that we live in nursing homes and retirement homes and whatnot. We also think that older people can't learn anything new, and I think that's an intrinsically ageist assumption. We frame older adults oftentimes as being grandparents, which is lovely, and often older adults are grandparents, but to be just defined in relation to the younger generation, I think is ageist, because they're also just a person, not just in relation to a 20-year-old or 8-year-old. And sometimes if we're on the road and we're driving and we see someone driving badly or driving really, really slowly, someone might be inclined to assume that it's it's an older person driving. They might say, "Come on, Grandpa," but that's mean and a horrible assumption.
There's the idea of ageism, like any prejudicial attitudes about any identifiable group, and we can think of older people as an identifiable group, but by having prejudicial attitudes to them, where you believe that you know something about them before even encountering them, it's very dangerous and harmful, not only to the person who's receiving those attitudes, but by the person who's holding those attitudes. The person who has the ageist attitude is losing a lot because they're not allowing themselves to be open to the reality of that other person, and that person is a great person. They may not be a nice person or a fun person, but they're a great person. They're just as we all are. And there's a lot written about the personhood, even in dementia, where we always say that people are demented have lost their personality and that there's no person there. But I think many people who work with people with dementia strenuously disagree with that perspective, that there's always a core of personhood there. So I don't think it's a very good way to live your life by cutting yourself off from as many people as you can. I think it's a better way to live your life by being in contact, real contact with as many people as you can. So yes, I think ageism, ageist attitudes really is very harmful to the person who has them. You're losing contact with or excluding a whole large segment of the population. And interestingly, a segment of the population which in many cultures and through most periods of human history has been the segment of society that is the most valued, because it has always been believed to be the segment of society that has the most to offer and contribute to society. They're the people with wisdom, with life experience, with knowledge. So writing those people off is something that you do at everybody's peril, I think.
Aging's a joke. I mean, look at every birthday card after a 30th birthday is, those cards in the store. I mean, it's always about the horrors of aging. And, these messages are just endlessly so negative that I think we're internalizing a lot of them. And when I see healthcare workers, whether it's rehab or medicine, the amount that want to go into neurosurgery, transplantation, genetic research is significant. The amount that actually say, I want to work with older people is much, much less, and the amount of people over the course, if you look at something like neurosurgery, I don't know the percentage, but it's a small percentage of people that will ever need neurosurgery in their life. The amount of people that are going to grow old and die, well, that's much higher. It's all of us. Well, we don't all grow old, but we all die.